Well, my name is John Trinh. I'm with the Neighborhood Housing Preservation Manager for the City of Portland. I'm here with my colleague, Ira Bailey, and also our esteemed panelists, and you will meet them a little later. Alongside, we have one more panelist who's going to be online, so you will meet her also. Let's advance to the next slide, please. Just a little bit in terms of City of Portland. Our mission is in terms of provide all Portlanders affordable homes to have equitable access to housing. To this end, Portland Housing Bureau is tasked to developing a citywide housing policy, increasing affordable housing, promoting stable homeownership, and managing resources. Next slide, please. I think you're going to back up one. There we go. Some of the program under my division, right, is lead remediation. So if homes are older than 1978, have child in there who is less than 6 years of age, we are able to go out and do a lead assessment and then do some lead remediation on those homes. Again, within the city of Portland. Other programs we have is our Healthy Home Production Grant, really home repair for life safety and fire, really a focus on in terms of moisture control. We're in the Portland Pacific Northwest, and also on radon. We also offer home repair loan and grants, so loans up to $40,000, depending on the equity of your home, and also grants that we work with our partner agency, which is the nonprofit. So thank you for being here. Our nonprofit agency also offered foreclosure prevention, foreclosure financial assistance, home buyer education and counseling, home asset estate planning. And also, we also work with them to do down payment assisted loan program. Next slide, please. So just a general idea in terms of our down payment assistance, because we're talking about home ownership, right? So we offer between $80,000 and $100,000 in down payment subsidy. Again, those is going to be depending on the funding source and also the geographic area. About 10 to 20% of those loan. Thank you. Loans will be for home improvement, which is a grant, so it's not a loan. Buyer contribute about $500. They have less than $10,000 in asset. We serve the low to moderate area median income, so up to, in some cases, 120% of area median income. Buyer also, in terms of location, are prioritized through a preference policy, really in terms of the northeast. So folks who has been displaced or redlined out of the northeast Portland, we like to get them back into northeast Portland. So they're prioritized to apply for a loan through our down payment assistance program. The program itself is zero interest, zero payment for 30 years. After the 15 years, half of that loan get forgiven, and about 3% is going to be forgiven every year after. And the year 30th, the remainder of the balance gets forgiven. So it's a great opportunity for folks to be homeowners. Next slide, please. Yep, there you go. When you look at in terms of our data for the last 3 years, about 29 homeowners received down payment assistance in 2021. In 2022, about 13. And so far in 2023, about 18. And we hope to increase that by the end of the year. You also look at in terms of by race, the majority of those who receive down payment assistance are Black, African American, close in terms of Hispanic and whites, and then you got the Native American.
Could you close the back door, please? Out of respect for everybody here.
Thank you. Some of the challenges that we have seen as the Portland Housing Bureau is home prices, although it's gone down a little bit, hasn't gone down as much. We need to go have those prices lower. We still have some low inventory in terms of homes within the city of Portland, and also interest rate is high. Within the past 12 months, we've seen double increases in terms of interest rate. When I look at in terms of the MIOS, which is multiple listing service data, this is 12 months ending in May of 2023. So in the state, they sold about 740 homes. Lens area, which is the southeast area, about 328. Citywide, about 86 or 87,000 homes were sold. The average price in the interstate was about $560,000. The Lens is about $392,000, and citywide is about almost $600,000. And I like this chart right here, which is looking at the area median income. So if you have a household of two who are working, who's making about 72,000, they'll be eligible to apply for subsidy. When you look at the green, yellow, and red, what we're trying to illustrate here is that we would like folks to contribute about 30% of their income towards housing, right? So it's okay to be 40%. So if someone who's a household of two contributing about $2,400, we think that they're going to be successful in terms of being able to pay towards their housing and save some money in case of any catastrophic situation that may come up, medical or whatnot like that. When we get to 50%, it's getting hard. Right? So if someone's paying $3,000 towards their rent and they're a family of two making $72,000 total, it get hard. So we don't want people to be at risk of losing their home, doing foreclosure or whatnot like that. Looking at an example of the information that I was presented earlier, so let's say a purchase price is about $530,000, northeast area. Down payment, we offer $100,000, 10% went to home improvement. So really $90,000 help to lower that mortgage payment. So the mortgage loan is about $440,000. If the interest rate is 70%, they're paying in terms of principal and interest about $3,500 a month. You add on in terms of property tax associated with that, you're almost $4,000 a month. Let's go back to the previous chart, right? So this chart is a family of two paying $4,000 a month. That's 66% of their income towards their housing costs. And so that's hard as a family trying to own a home and be successful in their home. And if something ever happened, they're gonna be hurting. Yes, question. Yeah, that include in terms of mortgage insurance. The question was, does it include property tax and mortgage insurance? It does include both. So I'm going to pass it to Ira, my colleague, and we're going to talk to our folks who really work with our buyers, right? The community members. So Ira.
Thank you all. I don't have any slides, do I? I may have slides. Hi, my name's Ira Bailey. I'm a housing program coordinator at the Housing Bureau. My primary role is doing contract management for our community partners, whom we have 6 of, and gratefully we have 3 of them actually who are going to be a part of this presentation. I also get to work on the down payment assistance program, and then what you saw earlier, those foreclosure prevention, counseling, and foreclosure financial assistance programs. One rule that I'm going to throw out there, just because someone told me they were going to do this, I am not a panelist. So if you would please be so kind as to not ask me questions, that would be great. But feel free to ask of the panelists. And so what we're going to do is we have some questions that we'll ask, but as the meeting goes on, if you have some questions, you may have questions for a specific panelist, which you will be free to ask that, or you will have questions in general. And then if that is the case, I may assign someone to kind of take the lead on that. So we're all good on that? Awesome. So I would like you to join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists. To my right here, I have Keeble Giscombe, sorry. Keeble Giscombe. He is the homeownership director at the Oregon Housing and Community Services Office. Next to him, I have Daniel Lechuga from African American Alliance for Homeownership. As the director there likes to say, it's He is the lead housing counselor there. Next to Daniel, we have Katie Ulrich with Proud Ground. She is the associate director and principal real estate broker there. And then online, remotely, we have Yesenia Juarez. She is with Portland Housing Center and is the homeownership program manager. Yesenia, are you still there?
I am, yeah, I'm here.
Oh, awesome. So we'll start off with introductions. Mr. Keeble.
You hear me? Hello, my name is Keeble Giscombe. I'm with the Oregon Housing and Community Service Program. I'm the Director of Homeownership. As everyone was speaking, I was trying to think of the things that I have some control over. We do with down payment assistance, foreclosure, lift loans, bonds, work with developers, work with home buyers through some of our home ownership centers. So there's so many things that we do in home ownership, but the idea is just to find ways to improve the opportunities for Oregonians to obtain ownership in homes, even though we know it's a difficult time right now. So there's a lot of things that we do in our shop at OHCS. And I know if you guys are developers or have ideas, I know there's always NOFAs out there and always things coming in trying to figure out how we could improve on the stock and inventory that we have within the state. And I know within some of those lines, I will be able to touch base and meet with you all somewhere along the line.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Lechuga. I'm the lead housing counselor with the African American Alliance for Homeownership. I've been with this last August has been 10 years, and I love being there. I love what stands for, helping people. We do pre-purchase foreclosure counseling. We do asset preservation, minor repairs. We do have a water leak program. We also have another program. It's called Power to the People PDX, which is educating a lot of minorities and other people that don't understand the benefits of what energy and solar power can be, a benefit to them. We are expanding. We've been around since 1999. We were HUD approved 2003, and it's been a whirlwind. I remember when it was just three of us in the office, and now we're expanded. We have almost the first floor of one of our offices, and we love helping people. If anybody needs anything, just go to our website there. My little 2 cents promotion. We're having our 24th annual homeowners fair on November 11th. We started doing it in Manual Legacy, and now we're moving to the convention center. So we'd love to have everybody there. If you're a vendor, that'd be great. Let other people know about it, because we want to let not just people that are homeowners or want to be homeowners know about the services there and the community and the partners that are available. We want to expand everything housing. Okay. Again, my name is Daniel Lechuga. Thank you very much. Ms. Kate.
Thank you. I'm Katie Ulrich. I'm the Associate Director at Proud Ground. Proud Ground is one of the largest community land trusts in the country, and our whole goal and mission is to create permanently affordable home ownership opportunities. And I think, do I have a slide? I don't know what I put on there. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. I do. Okay. I was just trying to, I think, so we've helped about 600 families purchase homes and have about 480 homes in our program that are scattered. We serve now 6 counties. So we also started in 1999, good year for home ownership to start up in the city. And we are a HUD approved housing counseling agency as well as a licensed real estate brokerage, but glad to see folks here today.
And Yesenia, if you could give a brief introduction of yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yesenia Juarez, and I'm the Homeownership Program Manager at Portland Housing Center. Portland Housing Center is a nonprofit organization that was created in 1991 with the support from the city of Portland to really combat redlining. And we wanted to be a resource for first-time homebuyers and help them break any barriers that they were encountering towards homeownership. And we do that by providing homebuyer education, advising services, and also financial assistance. As the community needs started to evolve, we also became a licensed mortgage broker. So we also offer first-time homebuyer mortgages. A little difference between us and just a traditional lender is that we're not commission loan officers, which really allows us to be transparent and unbiased with the information that we provide. We are a HUD certified agency. We are a CDFI, so Community Development Financial Institution. So we create a lot of our proprietary programs that you'll learn a little bit more about today. And we're also a NeighborWorks chartered member. So we're part of the National Association of NeighborWorks. And I'll pass it over to you, Ira.
Thank you. Thank you. I already gave my introduction, so no new words from me. So we'll just go ahead and jump into questions and discussions. You guys good with that? Yeah, cool. All right. So Keeble, starting with basics, what would you say are the benefits of home ownership?
I wish I could use your do not ask me the question, I'm the panelists. I wish I could do it. Well, we could go through the first, well, at the agency, we think about it in three different factors. There's the economic factor of home ownership, help with generational wealth. It helped with breaking down the disparity between people of color in home ownership. And it also helped create stability in the long term for homeowners. The other part that we work on within the agency is the societal and the social impact of home ownership. Homeowners actually have an impact and an input in their community. They have input into parks, school, education, police, fire. They also have the ability as homeowners to build community. And that is not something that's normally attached to renters. It's actually attached to homeowners, where homeowners actually know their neighbors. They could build that community, and with building that community, it could create better outcomes for their kids and their future generations. So to me, the big part of home ownership is it stepped from the idea of, yes, it will be some sustainability towards the next generation, but there's also that societal and social impact of being an owner where you could actually build the community that you live in, because once you become a homeowner, you have a stake in that community, in that neighborhood, in that area. So that's our view on home ownership.
Just wanted to clarify, I'm a HUD certified counselor too, if I didn't say that in the beginning. But the question is, the way I see it and the way we all see it is, because I was created to help the African American community and other underserved communities in that area, or here in the Portland area, stability, sense of value, and financial empowerment. Okay, those are words that tend to kind of have a gap between the ethnicities. Okay, understanding the situation of the clients, where they're at, and helping them meet them where they're at right now, and take a look at the big picture. What are their goals? What do they want to accomplish? And what needs to be done to get to those goals? A lot of times people don't realize that home ownership is right for them, and just helping them understand the sense of value and empowerment. You should see the face of somebody that's realizing, oh my gosh, I'm mortgage ready, but mortgage ready in the sense where you can actually buy something similar that's competitive. Someone can be mortgage ready to qualify for $100,000 loan. Okay, so we need to clarify that mortgage ready does not mean in today's market. It could be at a different area. So the benefits of home ownership, again, the biggest one is stability. And like I said, back to sense of value. A lot of times people don't realize what that person feels like, especially when they're kids. The whole family together realizes they're all going to be homeowners and have a piece of the pie.
Thanks, Daniel. They took all of mine, and thankfully I have other notes. So I think when with Proud Ground and Community Land Trust, our homeowners do get similar benefits of home ownership, even though our model is unique. And one of the things I'm gonna quote a dated study of Proud Ground homeowners, because it's true, it was true at that time. I think it's only gotten better. But the study found that 71% of Proud Ground homeowners actually went on to increase income after purchasing a home. So when you talk about like what stability does for that family, that's a key piece of it. In addition, it was 47% went on to pursue higher education or workforce training. So I think that's an important piece of stability, allows people to have that place to be able to further and see like, hey, I got this goal, what can I do next? It also found that almost half of the children in those households increased in scores, like in school. So the kids did better in school, and 40% said that they actually went on to do what Keeble was talking about, participate in their community. So I think those are kind of key things that we talk about. I know Habitat has similar results from their homeowners, but I think that stands true with homeowners in general, and is a key factor in the importance of the impact.
Yesenia, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I'll definitely add, y'all covered a substantial part of it, but what I keep coming back to is the stability. And also homeownership is one of the greatest tools to create generational wealth, and it has a tangible impact on upward economic mobility. And what I keep coming to is a story of a client that came through Portland Housing Center and became a first-time homebuyer through our services. Just recently, she was able to rent that home and use that rental income to qualify for another home. And she's a first-time generational homeowner, which means that no one in her family had ever owned a home. And that's a prime example of creating generational wealth through home ownership and one of the greatest benefits of home ownership.
Awesome. So I'll let you, Ms. Yesenia, take the lead on the next question as a housing or homeownership program manager.
Yeah.
How does homebuyer counseling and education help prepare homebuyers for entering the housing market?
Yeah, so home buyer education and counseling services serves as a guide to financial preparedness. It gives clients a picture of their financial situation and creating a realistic budget for home ownership. And through our counseling services and financial education classes, we cover topics such as credit, savings, and debt reduction, which are all essential parts of qualifying for a mortgage. And at Portland Housing Center, we take it a step further. We don't just provide financial education classes, we provide culturally specific financial education classes. So we have the Decide tu Futuro for our Latino community, and we have the Getting Your House in Order for our African American community. Shout out to Quaylen, not sure if you're in the room, but I think you were one of the core people in creating that content. And it was important for Portland Housing Center to create culturally specific programming because we've learned that your attitudes about money and your relationship to money vary from culture to culture. And it was important for us to create content that clients could really connect with in order to achieve true transformational change in finances, to achieve their ultimate goal, which is home ownership.
Awesome, thank you. And yes, he is in the room. For those of you who may not know Quaylen, we have a videographer right there with an iPhone apparently in the back of the room. That is Quaylen.
Thank you. I can't see anybody. And shout out to Laura. I think our IDA program manager is there as well.
She is. All right, Katie. Yeah.
Yesenia obviously covered a lot of it. I would say also some of the things that Proud Ground focuses on in our homebuyer education and counseling is how to, take care of a home, savings for home repairs, like really what the cost of home ownership is really important for families to understand as they get into buying a home. I sit down with families and talk about, oh yeah, I think I can afford $2,000, $2,200 a month because that's what I'm paying in rent right now. And it's like, well, does that include your utilities? So we back into a payment that is affordable to them. And also just, talking about what savings there should be for home maintenance and repair, because that's primarily an issue as families move into home ownership. It's something that's new for them. So
Well, basically, a lot of the same information. One of the things, a lot of the nonprofits we do teach because all of us are HUD, we're supposed to be HUD certified, right? So the teachings and education is very similar. Everybody's got their own style. Of course, Oz is best. I'm just kidding. But but one of the things to think about that, I mean, great shout out to this two young ladies here. The thing is, for home ownership, okay. We, especially at our counseling agency at all, we want to also clarify one thing. There's a lot of misinformation out there about what is it to become a homeowner. Like Katie said, oh, I'm paying 24 in rent, I can afford a house. Well, this guy on YouTube said this, and the Google search said this, that I can qualify. And it's to clarify that even some of the nonprofits, the information they're sharing with that client was great for the previous client, but maybe not that particular client. So it's customized, tailored for each and every individual client. You guys don't know how many times we hear, well, my next door neighbor, brother or sister, they bought a house and they make just as much money as I do, but they don't understand there's a lot of information that we can't share behind that story, right? And so helping someone understand what it really takes to become a homeowner, and that's why the education and the counseling is so important, because as counselors, we don't just, someone once told me, Daniel, you just got to sit there and you got to listen to the client. Well, if I'm being your psychologist, yes, I'm going to shut up and listen to you because you're going to tell me your life story. But when it comes down to buying a house, as counselors, as counseling agencies, we're supposed to listen to a little bit of what you have to say, and then we're supposed to throw up on you, give you a lot of information, direction, guidance, please excuse the words, but it's because the whole thing is you guys are coming to us. You're sending your clients to us for guidance and direction. I can just imagine going to the football field. Hey, coach, I'm going to play. Well, go ahead and do it. Well, what play do I play? Whatever you want. It's not like that. You need direction. And that's what the nonprofit agencies do. That's why, a lot of times people, we get this asked not too often anymore, but how much do you guys charge? And I always joke around, 2,500. And they're like, what? I'm just kidding. Our services are free. And then we just want to encourage those clients to let other people know about other community agencies, because we're here. And you know how the government works. You use the money, you get more. If you don't use the money, you don't get as much. So let your family members and friends, neighbors, strangers know we help people. Just because we have income limits there, that doesn't mean that we cannot help other people, okay? Just to brag. This year, 3 clients from in the excess of $150,000. I counseled them, helped them. Okay, you didn't get any financial assistance, but they got direction. That's one of the things that a lot of times people forget. Is like Dr. Phil or Mr. Jones over here, they're making a lot of money, so that's okay. They don't need direction. Yeah, think about the people, with all the respect to lenders and realtors. They're more likely to get taken advantage because there's more money to be made there, right? So again, it doesn't matter what income level for counseling, but for financial assistance, that's a whole different story. But enough said. Thank you.
Took all my thunder, but I have some more. I got some more. So as they were talking about the agency, with OHCS, we actually work with about 15 to 17 home ownership centers throughout the state. And we have those home ownership centers embedded into the local community because they are able to address the needs of that local community. We understand the community, Multnomah County will be different than Bend versus Burns versus Klamath Falls. So having those home ownership centers across the state is beneficial to us to get the buyers prepared. Many of the things that we do is like the same thing they talked about: counseling, education, foreclosure, information, pre and post education of home ownership. By buying piece, I will drop some of the boring data stuff from OHCS that they wanted me to talk about. So since 2017, OHCS have provided funding support for over 17,000 clients. And we also supported 46% of those clients were people of color. I'm a very practical person. Part of the work with the Homeownership Center is to truly help homeowners to understand the pluses and the minuses of owning. I remember when I was a renter, my wash and dry went down, I made a call. I didn't have to worry about the lawnmower because they cut the lawn. I think I didn't pay for trash, right? I don't think I paid for trash in my rent. But when you become a homeowner, everything is yours. You're cutting the grass, you're paying for trash, you're paying for everything. And to that education, one of the things that we look at within the agency is that sustainability is important in the education that they receive. Because the last thing we want someone to do is to go into a property that they cannot afford, and then they utilize the foreclosure piece because we put them in a place that they weren't able to sustain the roof going down or a flood or electrical problems. So we put a lot of our support into the homeownership centers that we have to do that education, so home buyers could truly be prepared to go into the homeownership experience, because it's a lot more cost to it than renting, but there's also a lot of benefits to it like than renting. So we want them to be as well informed as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Daniel, you'll take the lead on the next question. I don't keep on the toes. We know interest rates are high. What are some strategies you go over with your clients to help?
Well, one of the things that we want to let our clients know is understand, the pros and cons of the interest rate, and still let them know that at 6.25%, 7%, 7.25, those interest rates are still lower than they were in the past, okay? Can you imagine 15, 16% interest rates? And when they hear those words, they're like, really? And so that kind of helps them understand the thing. You want to be able to focus on what you can afford, not necessarily the interest rate, okay? The strategies are to figure out affordability, because that's crucial. I tell clients, what's the most important thing when you're thinking about buying a house? It's not the location, not the loan amount, not the interest rate, is what can you comfortably afford to make, okay? Like we've heard here is that if someone can afford the mortgage right now and they don't properly budget, then the interest rate is going to affect them, in the future, as far as affordability. And sometimes people get caught up with, I'm pre-approved right now at this interest rate, but I don't want to move yet. Well, we need to clarify and let them understand that the interest rates are going to go up and down, and they need to figure out if they're ready to move forward, they got to move right away, because the interest rates have a huge factor on the monthly payments and what they can afford to buy. So the strategies are figuring out affordability. When do they want to purchase? Because a lot of times people come to us and they're not ready for another 6 months, a year, 2 years, okay? Or some people that are like, we've had people in the contract already, they're closing in 2 weeks, and like, no, there's nothing we can do. So helping the clients clear that understanding, because you're going to have certain people telling them, don't do it right now, the interest is too high, and other people are going to say, do it now. So whatever's most important for them, and it's going to meet their goals. That's how we handle it.
Yeah, what? It's on, right? Okay. Interest rates. I mean, yeah, I think people know the math or have heard the statistics on it. It's like, the increase of 4% to 7% just priced out completely a whole group of people that were actually working with our agencies trying to achieve home ownership. And so and just getting into the math, when I looked at like the principal and interest payment from the increase of a 4% loan to a 7% loan, in this example I was using, the family has to earn like $1,400 more a month to support that increase in the monthly payment for the exact same priced home. And our families, as you know, just don't have the capability of doing that. So over the past year, strategy-wise, what Proud Ground has done, at least, is we've continually increased our down payment assistance. So to the point where we, at one point, we have several closing this month. We're at $190,000 of down payment assistance in Washington County. And we were still struggling with our target households at under 80% of the area median income to find affordable houses in that area with almost $200,000 of down payment assistance. But we had to increase it because we weren't able to make it work anymore with 100. The other thing I would say that is becoming middle of the night thinking I've had, assumable loans. So I think that's something that, we're going to see more of that. I would say that is a strategy. I think we might see realtors starting to market homes with assumable loans. I believe Oregon bond loans are assumable. And so we have several Proud Ground homeowners basically that have Oregon bond loans that they got them at 2.5%. And that will be actually a very strong marketing technique if interest rates stay where they're at. I'll put in, you're doing shameless plug. So I'll shamelessly plug, as I should, the Community Land Trust program in general. So, we have 480 houses that are permanently affordable. So the intent of that program is that resale after resale, they will stay affordable. So we have a home right now in Hillsborough that Roberta probably knows better than I do, but I believe it's selling for like $217,000, and it recently appraised for, I think, $350,000. And so, okay, $360,000, yeah. So just the Community Land Trust in general, I think as interest rates rise, that will become an option for families. Oh, nice. Okay, there you go. That's great. And then I would say you had mentioned, I've heard from several, economic people, this is kind of actually where interest rates, they've been higher for sure in the past, but like what we were experiencing the last 5 years was not sustainable. So I think that's another thing that we can message to our home buyers, like Daniel was saying, that, yeah, you got to look at affordability and you got to look at what makes sense for you. But this is actually a more balanced kind of market, except for the prices.
Ira, I would like to add to the question whenever, if available. Yeah, the only thing that I would add is as far as the perspective from a licensed loan originator, one of the strategies when clients are shopping is I like to work really closely with their realtor and the client to kind of work through personalized strategies and solutions. So for example, we had a client that was actively in negotiation and they were trying to decide whether they should take a price reduction of 10,000 or whether they should take a 10,000 seller credit. So we ran the numbers and we were able to clearly see that a price reduction wasn't as beneficial because they would only be saving about $31. And with a seller credit, we were able to use that to buy down the interest rate, which then saved them $319 per month. So definitely working really closely with the borrower and the realtor once they're in the negotiation and shopping phase. And at Portland Housing Center, we really like to personalize that strategy because each person's financial situation is a little bit different. So for clients who are starting to shop, or get financially prepared, our HUD certified counselors will look at budget, right? So what are some of fixed expenses that they can work on and shop for to reduce to be able to absorb a higher monthly payment? What are some variable expenses that are needs versus want? And then lastly, I would say right now, collaborating with other nonprofit organizations is key. So we have a program called MAP, so the Mortgage Assistance Program, which gives clients up to 90,000 for closing and down payment. And that program is able to be layered with other funding. So having those relationships with other nonprofits and being able to get creative on layering funds. So I know that we partner with Proud Ground quite a bit. We share clients between AW and other organizations.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going last again, I think. So I must acknowledge that the high interest rate do impact all Oregonians as they try to purchase a home. There's several things that we're working on within OHCS. I know in the spring of this year, we're able to acquire $29 million to help with down payment assistance. And I know that's a lot of money, but it doesn't really go that far when you look across the entire state. I'm still working with home ownership centers where even when we get to 20%, the homeowner is still short a significant amount to make that possibility more affordable. And that's something that we're looking towards trying to figure out how we can increase down payment assistance, because right now we are limited to 20% of the price. We also looked at the fact that we work with individual development programs or IDAs where we try to do a 5-to-1 match, and that could also help individuals get into homes. We also have the ability to work with flex lending, and we also paired that with our Oregon residential bond programs to try to create some opportunities that will be able to help, like the bond program that was stated earlier. That is, that mechanism right now is a little bit more flexible within the high interest area right now. So we were able to pair flex lending with bond, and that kind of could come out with some programs. We've worked with some task force to trying to come up with some other recommendations. And one of our recommendations that came to us was, I believe it's a program called the Network for Oregon Affordable Housing. And there we're trying to figure out how we could speed up the equity process when someone owns a home to 20%, 20 years, so they could get more out of their home as they're paying, and that could help with the interest rate right now. But it's hard to not acknowledge that the high interest rate do impact the service that we could give, and they do impact Oregonians as they try to purchase home.
Thank you. So before I go on to my next question, are there any questions in the audience? Yes. So the question was, do the organizations charge a fee to help the clients?
Well, I could start. I know that part of our budgets that we do fund home ownership centers. So I know from our end, we fund them to support and help. So do you guys charge after that?
No, we don't. We used to charge for the credit report, but right now we got some additional funding, so that's being covered. But for the actual counseling sessions for pre-purchase, we do not charge. Um, and definitely for foreclosure counseling, not even a penny, nothing goes. So our agency does not charge anything like that.
And for Proud Ground, we have a $50 registration fee, but we've actually been waiving that for like 4 years. And then, but we also do partner now to provide the online like homebuyer education class, and there is a $75 fee for that class.
Yeah, we actually, to mirror that, yes, we do power with the eHome America. Actually, we've had people from the East Coast, they didn't get the discount, but they'd use the eHome America through so when we do have our online, that we used to charge for our home buyer education classes. We're back to doing them now face to face, and there's no fee for those classes.
Yesenia?
Yeah, Portland Housing Center does have a $99 registration fee, but we do have a tier scaled, and it can be waived. And that registration fee really covers some of the operating expenses and the class. So it's a HUD certified class that clients are able to use for certain loan programs like Home Ready and Home Possible. So we do have a $99 registration fee.
Any other questions? Nope. No, I'm just kidding. What is? That was a long question. I'm gonna try to sum it up. So what is the time frame? So I'm gonna just repeat that real quick. So the question is, if a person registers for services, how long before they actually achieve or attain those services? And what can lenders and realtors do to help advocate their clients to coming in to the service? And I'm gonna grab a little bit what you said before, because a person can have the finances behind them, but still have other challenges that they may need to overcome.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. With us, once someone does a triage intake, well, I'm pretty much booked up till the end of October, but we do have another counselor. But we do try to get the client in, within a week or so, to get the process started. Now, when it comes down to someone being ready, I tell the clients, and what we want to discuss at all is it's at your pace, okay? No matter what the lender or realtors are encouraging the client to do, is how fast does the client want to go? We can go as slow as you want or as fast as you want. We tell the client, but there's going to be certain things done. Affordability, credit, income, what is their budget, and their financial resources. If someone comes in here with a substantial amount of money for a down payment, but their credit is low, we encourage them to figure out what's the pros and cons of having a 629 credit score, where within 5 or 7 months we could get that up to a 700, based on their situation. What is that going to look like for the client? And is it worth it waiting to increase the credit based on the market right now, what's going on? So we take a look at the whole thing and figure out what the client wants to do, because we're never going to tell the client what to do or what not to do, okay? We're going to make suggestions, and it's up to the client to figure out which way they want to go with our direction. And as far as, what was the last part of that? Yes. Yeah, what I usually tell when I'm talking marketing or talking to a lender or realtor, I let you guys know that you make your money by getting the house sold or the loan. A lot of times, some of you guys, with all the respect, love you guys, take on too much responsibility to educate people beyond, and let us do that. Okay. What I tell the client, send someone to us, make sure that you're being referred to us by you. And then when we get started as a HUD certified counselor, when the time comes for that client that he or she is mortgage ready, my job, I'm going to have to give them 3 or more names. We have a resource list, okay, to stay in compliance with HUD. But I ask him, hey, John, has Quaylen talked to you? When was the last time you talked to Quaylen? Oh, a year and a half since he introduced me to here. Then I'm going to go, okay, with all due respect, Quaylen, does this lender really care about you, or is it just about the Benjamins, right? So we want to let our clients know we're there for them. With all respect to everybody here, as housing counselors, we're there for our clients, not the business partners, okay? And I don't mean to be disrespectful, and I'm not, but understand that we got to protect our clients, because that's what we are. We're here for our clients, and we want the clients to know that we have their backs. But like, for example, John, oh, Quaylen, he just sent me an email last week. Okay, great. So John, as a HUD certified counselor, I have to give you 3 or more names. Here you go. But ever since you've been working with Quaylen already, and I would recommend getting another pre-approval to compare apples to apples, right? And then you let me know who you want to work with. That's how we handle it. So just make sure that, a lot of people have on their triages, how will you refer to us? Just make sure that they leave your name. I spoke to a realtor the other day, and we went through the people that she sent to us, and she's like, well, this so-and-so, yeah. Oh, how will you refer to us? Other, internet, web. It's like, no, let's go back, make sure that you're clear as a professional. Let the clients know that you're there for them to back them up, but let us do the training and financial education and guidance and direction, prepare them for you. Because when it comes down to numbers, we don't tell them the final number. You guys as the lenders will, and together the client knows, oh, I got 2 people on my back and on my team. That's going to make them feel more comfortable and understand that they have the right team working for them. But so that's how I'll take care of things like that.
And I think with Proud Ground, as far as like our housing counseling services go right now, we just got another HUD certified housing counselor certified, I guess. But it's probably, a couple weeks to get in for that. But as far as like our program goes and down payment assistance or actual homes for sale, we do have homes that are available currently and grants available that are first come, first served. So if there's a mortgage ready home buyer that I would say, if you're a lender or realtor and working with a family whose affordability is between 200 and 300,000, our program is a really, really good fit. And so they could go and see what's available right there and kind of go straight into a purchase with Proud Ground.
All right. Yes.
Very good question. So community land trust, you, our homeowners, I would say, get access to the land. I mean, they can do essentially anything another homeowner could do. They do have to notify Proud Ground if they're going to do like major improvements, but basically we're going to say, hey, you want to pull that tree out? Did you talk to the city? Do you need a permit for that tree? So it's really actually our lease agreements are very what would I say? Well, they're long term, but they also really protect our homeowners' rights to the use of that property. So day-to-day kind of living is the same as a market rate homeowner. Good news is they get reduced property taxes because the taxes on the land are actually tax exempt and they paid a lot less for their home. So otherwise, the biggest thing I like to emphasize that the biggest thing about community land trust is it's not about the land ownership, not owning the land, because our lease is so protective to the homeowner for the use of that land. It's really about the resale. And you are getting a great low price on your home and you're agreeing to pass on a good price to another income qualified family.
I'm going to add a couple things to that. As a housing counselor, when part of the whole thing when we're working with our clients is collaboration, like you said earlier, it's about the agencies working together. I've had just recently, because of the market the way it is, a few clients that basically 295, 305, 320 was their maximum. And as a housing counselor, I'm there not for the market, but for the clients. So talking to the clients and let them know, have you heard? Oh yeah, Proud Ground. All this negative connotations about, like, do you understand it? Well, no, just because you heard about it, you don't understand it. Go to the orientation, figure out understanding it. However, the other thing I tell the clients, listen, right now, unless you're buying with someone else, you're going to change your career or double your income. Affordability in the open market is not a realistic thing, right? Yeah. Well, listen, why not get your foot in the door? Go to the orientation with Proud Ground. Get started with them. If you qualify for one of their properties, guess what? You're a homeowner. Same benefits as a regular traditional home buyer, right? However, it gives you time to change that career that you need. Because a lot of you lenders know you have to have 2 years in the same field. Prepare your finances. Talk to a family member that you're going to possibly buy together. And then guess what? Then you turn around. You've got some equity with that Proud Ground house that you can use for your down payment and your open market house. See, so that's the first step to home ownership. And I tell them, what's more important, owning the land or paying that monthly rent that's just going into a black hole? And once you explain to people, you do have options. And that's a great first step for a lot of people that are restricted as far as income, So that is my plug for Proud Ground.
Short answer, yes. So the city of Portland, one of the programs that we have is lead remediation. There are some general rules and income guidelines to the funding source of that lead remediation. Like you have to be under 80% AMI. There's like an automatic, if there's a child, 6 hours? Under 6 age, but like 6 hours a year or something like that.
Oh.
It's basically like if you have a grandchild that visits for like an hour every other weekend is what it's a super low number.
Yeah.
And then we come out, we test, and we can actually do or provide funding for that.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So do you have a business card or anything? So I don't have many cards with me, but us. So kind of one of the handcuffs of the city of Portland assistance is our assistance is within the city of Portland. But I would be happy to look around for folks.
Most counties, or it might be that Lincoln County might have funding for a similar type of program. I mean, it's federal dollars, is that right? So like most that's how they're funding it in the city of Portland. They have restrictions, have to use it in the city of Portland. But if you even just Googled Lincoln County lead-based paint remediation, you might want to put in like assistance. Then it might pop up. But I'd start with the county actually. And if they're in a city, but it's rural, I'd start with the county. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, another thing you can do is see if you can find another agency that's close by that offers the IDA, Individual Development Account. That's for home repair. It's a 5-to-1 matching program with CASA for home repairs anywhere in the state of Oregon. I mean, believe it or not, I had a client a few years ago. She was in Corvallis. We did everything remotely, but she got some work done, and in the 3 years. But that's another thing you find out. We do offer IDAs for the income limited clients, of course, but you have to income qualified clients. I apologize, but yeah, reach out to any one of us that does the home repair IDAs. You can Google casaoforegon.org and then look for partners, and you'll be able to find something there. You had a question?
So I'm new to my job. I'm at Habitat for Humanity here in the Portland region, and I started in May, and I'm not new to funding or nonprofits. That's been my whole career, but I am new to housing. And something that I've picked up on since starting, that's probably not any surprise to anyone in this room, is that so much of the policy space and the funding space and the realm that we work in is directed toward rental housing. And to the point that sometimes the forms we're filling out are for homeownership funding. We're like, filling out spaces where it says, lease up, and we know that that means for us, it means, oh, like that's when the home sale happens. But and I guess like I'm just looking for some big picture insights from this panel. Like, why do you think that is?
Good question. Yeah. Rental.
Okay. Great observation, but it is a continuum. There's a continuum, just like the question, I think was the question before this one, like once they get from renter, they become owners. Yes, there's a large amount of resource that's in rental homes, and there's a large amount of attention that's there as well. But in the continuum of getting people into homes, rental is normally one of the first steps you get to once you get some stability. And after you get that stability, then you move towards home ownership. So because of that, there is a perception and there is a focus on a lot of rental. But I would say within that continuum, there is a lot of direction looking into the development of more permanent housing, because there's such a shortage of home ownership within the state. But if you do look at anything like crisis management or emergency, rent is the first one that you will see to get someone a place. But as you go on that continuum, then home ownership become more apparent. So like from the seat that I sit in, I'm working with developers to build more properties, working with agency to bring more options. But as we look at society through the biggest lens, you're going to see more rental, because that is the first step to get someone on track to be stable.
Yeah, that's kind of pretty much it. There's really not much more that I can add, other than the fact that if someone's renting, working on their budgets, getting them prepared for home ownership, that's a good step. Because if you were not renting before, whether you were homeless or living with someone else, and you start working on your budget while you're renting, that's going to get you prepared for the next step.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get on my soapbox for something else, but now and I might be, I am not a conspiracy theorist at all, but I think it has to do with systemic issues as well. So I think people view homeownership as a privilege for folks that, pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get it. And I don't think that there's enough emphasis on homeownership for these communities and the fact that it is not accessible. And by just continuing to focus so much on rental housing, we are keeping people from building wealth, building stability. Of course they get, the stability of having a low monthly payment if they can access affordable rentals. But I think it's a bigger plan that I think us as homeownership organizations can continue to try to push that with an equity lens to say this is not equitable, that certain people get, our little bits of down payment assistance to actually get into a home when they're dumping a lot into the rental market. It also is concerning to me, specifically in the city of Portland, that, oh, you're here, sorry. Well, that we're creating these continuums. It is a continuum, but we are creating communities where people are in affordable rentals that will never have the ability to move into that neighborhood as a homeowner. And so I do think there needs to be a better balance with rental and homeownership.
I just want to address that real quick, even though I said I wasn't at the beginning. So as sitting on the city side and seeing the money that we've put into home ownership and seeing money that we put into rental, one of the things I can say is that, and whether it's because of pride and ego or it's the idea of fiscal responsibility, it is a lot less expensive to create rental for the numbers than it is home ownership. And so it's easy to say we have $10 million or it's better if you're looking at numbers, if you're trying to be fiscally responsible, to say we took $10 million and created 200 housing units versus we took $10 million and created 20 homeowners, right? So that's part of the conversation, and that's part of the challenge, but like Keeble mentioned and Katie mentioned, it is part of a continuum. Because if we're going to have affordable housing, we do need spaces for those folks to move into. And there are some of us, I can say at least at Portland Housing Bureau, who are in that fight, John being one of them, to say, hey, we need our leaders to step up to create that. There was a gray sweater in it, yes. You all heard that, right? Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, that's a great segue for question number 4.
I was gonna start skipping around.
Oh.
We only have like 2 minutes left. Sorry. Yeah. So, question number 4, which I think was really great with what you brought up, and basically helping clients and overcoming that discouragement. Great segue. And I will I'm going to let Katie take the lead on this. It is the current market can be discouraging. Do you have any advice to help encourage home buyers on the verge of giving up the idea of home ownership?
Yeah, I mean, my notes that I took on this was similar to what Daniel was saying. I would say, look, kind of really think about what your end goal is with home ownership. And if you want the stability and to be in a specific neighborhood in that community and stay where you're at, then consider options that might not be your total end goal. For example, condominiums or community land trust. Somehow just thinking of really balancing, what are the must-haves and what are the want-to-haves, and what do I need now, knowing that this may not be my forever home that I'm buying, but how can I get in and get started?
Yeah, that's a great thing, because that's the whole thing is about getting out of renting, where you're just basically paying someone else's mortgage, into home ownership, where you're in the first step of actually creating generational wealth if you got through the right guidance. Okay, because I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but just because you're a homeowner doesn't mean you're going to be able to build generational wealth. You have to understand the whole process, and that's something that we do at all. We help encourage the clients of what could you achieve by being a homeowner financially. What are the pros and cons? And again, if it's a limited issue, get into a proud ground house. That way you start saving up and working on your situation. Because what is the end goal? Is it to own a house? Yes, it is. Okay, great. Do you want to have it paid off, or do you want to be able to use that as a wealth building tool? And if you know, which route do you want to go? Because everybody's different. It's not just about owning a house, it's about having the house and use it as a tool, whichever route you want to go as a consumer.
I have two notes, and I think you took my thunder. I have knowledge is power, and it's my note. But it's all about having a well-prepared and well-informed buyer. We understand that not all buyers are prepared at this point, but we could put them on a roadmap to help them be in that stage in the near future. As an agency, one of the things that I'm working on right now is to create a strategic plan to create a system and an infrastructure that would allow us to be quick, to move quicker in an ever-changing marketplace. So instead of just waiting for the system to move slow, it's to create a plan to say, if this goes up, how can we adjust the work to help individuals in the state? So for me, I would just say within an agency, we're trying to redo our infrastructure, trying to get better products, pair it with flex lending, Lyft, everything else, I-10 loans, trying to find a way for us to be nimble. So when the opportunity happens, we could actually react to it quicker and pass that benefit downstream so more people get benefits from it.
Yesenia, did you have any input?
Yeah, well, just like all the panelists said, I would definitely share the benefits of owning a home and just share success stories of homeownership that other clients have had and the financial benefits that that provides. And a lot of the reservations that I often hear are in relation to rates, right? Rates are so high, I'm going to wait until the market cools off. And for perspective, I always like to share with clients like the historical trends of rates. We've seen rates as high as 20%, as low as 2.875, and now we're back up a little bit. So I always tell them, if you're trying to time the market, that is almost impossible to try to time the market for the best interest rate. So if they're mentally ready and financially prepared, it's always a great investment to purchase a home and start creating that generational wealth now, not just for yourself, but for future generations.
Awesome. And looking at the time, I am not keeping anyone here past 4:30, I promise. So I'm going to wrap up with one last question that I have, and then if there are other questions or comments in the audience, please feel free to ask. I will walk around so we can have it on the mic if you do respond. But the question I'm going to ask you, it is question number 8 that I prepped you with, which are, where do you see the needs in the market right now?
I was hoping we wouldn't get to question number 8. Okay. I think one of the biggest thing we have to do as an agency is to balance the resources that we have to make sure each Oregonian has the opportunity to own a home, regardless of whatever county they live in, to not just put our budget and our priority and our balance just to one specific area, but to look at the entire state as a whole. And I think that's one of the areas of need where, yes, I understand that Multnomah County prices are high. I understand that Bend is high right now, but to also look at the rural areas, the urban areas, and you have to understand the cost is different and the resources are different. But to me, one of the areas of need is to look throughout the state to make sure that we're actually giving each Oregonian an opportunity to own a property and not just have our attention at 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 locations, but to look at the state as a whole. So as an agency, I know that's one of my focus, is to look at the entire map and to make sure we could give as many people as possible the opportunity to be in home ownership.
Yeah, that's a great answer. The other thing too to think about is down payment assistance. Of course, everybody's going to say, sure, the more money you put down, the more affordable the house's price is going to be. But let's think about the big picture. Like Ira said, if you have the funds to help 20 people, can you as an agency creatively use this as a holistic model to maybe help 20 people instead of 10, that everybody gets a little bit less money for down payment. However, bottom line, that payment has to be affordable. And if it's between somebody saving $20 a month, okay, because you've helped 20 people versus, not, and you're only helping 10 people. As an agency, that's what we want to do. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not going to sacrifice 10 people's lives and say, well, you can't buy because this other 10 people need to have all this money. It's not my business. It's to figure out how, as an agency, can we best utilize the funds that are available right now? Because I mean, nobody's going to just dump some water on the backyard and money tree is going to grow. Okay, I wish, but it's not going to happen. So as agencies, I think it's our responsibility to take a look at each individual client and try to match and balance the resources that we have. Plus, there's always ways to partner up and layer funds available with other nonprofits that have programs, other lenders, that you guys might have access to some resources for, even if it's just paying the appraisal fee, every little penny. How can we as agency help our clients on a holistic level so we can best use the limited resources that we have available? I mean, I wish we had more, but that's what we only have, what we have, and how can we make that work better? The other thing too is, keeping people that not in Portland. I wish everybody can be in Portland, but there's not a lot of houses. A lot of people cannot afford there. Well, what about buying somewhere just a little bit outside where you can still, become a homeowner and start building that generational wealth path? And then if you can, a few years down the road, you can potentially come back, so there's always, just because somebody buys outside of Portland doesn't mean they can never come back. Okay. It's just like a Proud Ground house. Somebody can't afford an open market house. They buy Proud Ground. A few years later, they go in the open market. See, how can we as an agency holistically help our clients? That is our responsibility.
Yeah, all of the above. And I mean, I wrote these notes, but I think it was in context to the other questions that I answered that I haven't answered. I think there needs to be a broader conversation, and I know it's happening at the housing counseling level, but just putting it out here now, again, going back to the goals of homeownership. And for a time period, there was this mantra, I felt like, in the area of just get in. It doesn't matter. You got to just get in, like stretch yourself then to get in. And I don't think that's doing a benefit to our families. I think they really need to talk about what is the benefit and the goal, and making sure, because they have other goals too, right? So we don't want to have our families stretch so thin getting into a home and it's like, cool, now I'm a homeowner and I can't pay for water, or, so I think it's like looking at what the end goal is and what they're willing to give up to make it work. And then, again, I think when we talk about impact and, we do have to have deep conversations about permanent affordability in the community land trust model and the impact that it has. In the city of Portland now, we have about 220 permanently affordable homes, and those will, without any additional subsidy, be available. So I think looking in communities as looking at that as a real true model to make a broader impact and have a stock of those affordable homes is going to be key.
Yesenia, you got any?
Yeah,
last
so
comments?
this is a great question. I was thinking about this question from the perspective of a nonprofit agency. So a huge need that I see is increased operational support. I see that as a huge need for nonprofit agencies across the board. In this market, we're having to do a lot more to prepare clients for homeownership with limited resources. For example, we know from the research that future homeowners, the majority are going to be Latino homeowners. Nonprofit organizations need to start preparing more resources to be able to intentionally serve that demographic, and having increased operational support ensures sustained efforts and financial flexibility for us to continue enhancing some of our programs. So if I can just make that point, is definitely operational support is a huge need for nonprofits in this current state.
Awesome. Thank you very much. It is 4:30. I promised I wouldn't keep the meeting long. We do not. I mean, I think there may be something on the PowerPoint slide. But if you'd like, I will take your information and then I will make sure you get a copy of everyone's stuff. intro.
So the comment was that Kevin will send out the PowerPoint to everyone who registered. So you will have the contact information of our panelists. With that, please give our panelists a hand. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for all you do for Oregon, for the community. And with that, have a good afternoon, everyone.